welcome to our session where we're going to look at bonds. We'll cover four main areas: the importance of bonds, the types of bonds, how to value bonds, and finally, how to handle semi-annual bond. So let's begin with the basics. Firstly, what is a bond? Anyone? What is a bond? You've heard of a bond. What is a bond? Okay, so a bond is a long-term debt instrument that is issued by a corporation. Now, the bond can be issued by government or a corporation. It's a long-term debt instrument. The maturity value, which we also call the face value or par value, is the stated value of the bond. For instance, in the US, the face value is usually $1,000. So this par value represents the original borrowed by the issuer. In other words, if you buy a bond at par, you are lending the issuer that amount. So what is coupon rate and what is coupon payment? So let's talk about coupon rate and coupon payment. So when we talk about coupon rate, it's a stated interest rate on a bond. It is actually what most investors are interested in. How do we calculate it? It is the annual interest payment divided by the bond's face value. For instance, if the bond is issued at par 1,000 and 10% coupon rate, the annual coupon payment will be 10% of the 1,000 to get 100. So during the bond's life, only interest is paid, and the principal will only be paid at maturity. Now let's look at some of the other key terminologies that we will need for this lesson to be guided. So number one, we're going to learn or talk time and again what a discount rate is. This is a rate used to bring the future cash flows back to the present. In other words, it helps us find the current value of the bond. What is a maturity period? Maturity period is a time from when the bond is issued to when it matures. It can range from 5 to 10 years or longer. What is a maturity date? It is a specific date when the par value is repaid. Are you following? So that is what we call the maturity date. So if it's a 10-year bond issued after 2 years, the maturity period is what? 8 years. We also have what is called a call provision. It's what allows the issuer to buy back the bond before maturity. And when this happens, the investor usually gets what is called a call premium. A call premium. So these are key terms that we need to know. Then we look at the different types of bonds. We have what we call a perpetual bond. A perpetual bond, this is simply a bond that never matures. So a perpetual bond is a bond that never matures. It lasts forever. So you're going to get interest forever, but you never get your principal back. So the simple formula is given by your annual coupon over the market rate. So if you have a perpetual bond that has a face value of 1,000 and 8% coupon interest, it means the coupon interest you'll be getting will be $80. So if the market interest is 10%, you're just going to calculate 10% into the 8% times 1,000. So here's an example here. We have a 1,000 kwacha, $1,000. and the coupon interest is 8%. So 8% of 1,000 is 8. This is a coupon payment. Then the discount rate is 10%. So you divide 10% into our 8 to get 800. That is the value that we're going to get. So it means that the bond is worth less than 1,000 because the market rate is 10%, which is higher than the coupon interest. Therefore, investors will only buy it at a discount. So we also have a second type of bond which has regular coupon payments, the one that will dominate our study for today. So it has different bond payments. It's given by the value of the bond. It's given by I, which is the coupon payment, the PVIFA, which is the present value interest factor annuity, plus the maturity value, and the present value interest factor, KD. So you can use a table or you can use manual calculations for that. So most bonds have regular coupon payments. They have a fixed life and they pay interest regularly. So the PVIFA is a number that helps us add up all the future interest payments in today's money. Then the PVIF, which is the present value interest factor, is a number that brings the final face value back to today's money as well. So we'll look at an example here where we're given our coupon, our bond, the value is 1,000. It provides a 8% coupon interest for 30 years, and the discount rate is what? 10%. All right. So the value of a bond can be calculated as follows. Number one, I can simplify this as follows. Value of the bond is equal to VB is equal to the capital I, which is a coupon value, then the PVF, the PVA, which is a present value annuity, then also have the what? The face value or the maturity value, M, then multiplied by the interest factor,
Colin,
PVF.
so this formula is in the exam on that sheet.
Yes, they're given on that sheet.
All right.
All right, so how do you find the capital I? You multiply the coupon interest times the face value. The face value, what are we given in this question now? We're given our face value as what?
1,000.
1,000. And we're given our coupon interest as what? So this is our face value, M, and this is our coupon interest, small I. What else are we given? Our KD. All right, so we want to calculate the value of the bond. So how do we find our capital I? Our capital I is calculated when we do what? When we multiply the small I times the capital M. So the job of the coupon interest is simply to help us calculate our coupon value. All right. So capital I is good what? Small I times MV or times M. So what is 8% of 1,000? What is 8% of 1,000? So 8% of 1,000 is 80. So this is where the 80 is coming from. So that's where the job ends. Then we go to the maturity value, or the first value, put it here. So now this 10% of 30, the KD here is the market rate. You check under 30 years, but you can still calculate it. You can still calculate it. How do we calculate that? The present value interest factor is what you start with. So present value factor is simply equal to 1 over 1 plus R to the power of time. What is our R? 10%. So, and what is our time? 30 years. So what do we get there? 1 over 1.10 to the power 30. What do we get? Zero point what? 0.057. So this is how we find our present value interest factor. We put it here. Then we go to our present value annuity. So this one you subtract 1 minus present value factor over R. The answer we got here, 1 minus 0.057 divided by our R, which is 10%. We're going to get 9.427. So this is the value that you put here. So you will then compute everything together. Our value of the bond is 811. So this is how we find the value of the bond. Then there's what we call the current yield. The current yield is simply given by the coupon value over the value of the bond times 100. So in this case, what was our coupon value? It was 80. And the value of the bond that we found is 811.16. So what are we getting as our current yield? What is 80 divided by 1, 811.16. So this gives you 9.86%. So this is what we call the current yield. The current yield. Okay. Now, what is the significance of this current yield? What is it to investors? So this current yield is actually the real time income. It tells you the actual income return that you are getting today and not what the bond promised to pay. So if bonds fall, your current yield will rise. If bond prices rise, your current yield falls. So it makes very useful. It's very useful in the changing markets. It helps investors to use its current yield to compare different bonds, okay? To compare dividends and bonds and income generating assets. So this is how we formulate this. So you can use the table also to calculate that. This is the value of the bond. This is how to calculate the value of the bond. So now let's go to another question that we can try together. Let's say any questions at this point before I proceed. Okay, if that is clear, we can try another bond here. So before I go to the other bond, you need to understand an important um, concept. So these bonds can be classified into either a premium or a par bond or a discount bond. So a premium bond is simply when your coupon interest is more than the market rate. It's a premium. Usually, the total value that you get is more than the par value. So if you're issuing the bond at 1,000 and you're selling it for 1,200, it's a premium bond. There's a par bond where the coupon interest is the same as the market rate. So if you're issuing it at 1,000, you're selling it also at 1,000. Then there's also where the coupon interest is less than the market rate. It's issued at 1,000 and selling at 800. It's called a discount bond. So in this case, this is a discount bond. Clearly, our coupon interest, 8%, is less than our market rate of 10%. All right. So we can proceed to another question. I want you to all participate. So what are we given in this question? You should be able to tell from the onstart whether it is a par bond, it is a premium bond, right? Grace, we have this bond here. What type of a bond is this? A premium bond? It is par bond, or it's a discount bond. So what are we given in here? Let's identify what we are given. Anyone?
Here, we have the coupon rate of 10, and we have the market rate for 15. So meaning the coupon rate is less than the market rate. So this is a discount bond, and our par value is 1,000.
Okay, exactly. Our par value is 1,000. So this is our M. So it's a discount bond. All right, it's issued after 5 years. What else are we given from this question?
The maturity is 10 years.
The maturity is 10 years. Okay, what else are we given? So our time. Uh, small I. Our KD. That time is 5 years. So what's the job of the small I? To create a big I.
Calculate the big Y.
So 1000 times 0.1, that's where the 100 is coming from, right? Times 5 years, the KD or the R is what? 15%. So we put our 100 here and 1000 there. So here we can use a table to formulate or to calculate our, here is a present value factor and the present value annuity. Okay? We have the present value factor and the present value annuity. Now, I want to take this advantage also to explain how to read these financial tables in case you want to be fast, although I prefer the calculation way. So, where is the present value annuity and where is the present value factor? Which one goes with the present value annuity and which one goes with the present value factor? Is it the face value or the coupon value? So from the formula, you get the way I summarized it to say VB is equal to what? Capital I on the annuity factor and M on the interest factor. So don't swap these two. All right, so VB is equal to what? Capital I on the what? On the annuity factor, PVA, and M on the interest factor. So we have, what was our error? Our error was what? 15% under 5 years. So let's check using the table, 15% under 5 years. So let's start with what? Interest factor. It comes early. Even the formula is here, present value interest factor is at 0 point. So our R is what? 15%. And our N is what? 5%. So 15%. And our T is 5 years. So you can check that these tables are continuous. So this is 9, there's no 15 there. So you go to the next table, 11, 12, 13, 15 here, under 5 years. So we're going to get what? 0.497. Okay, this is where we're having the 0.497 here. If you're not using the table, who remembers what's the formula for the present value factor? 1 over what?
1 over 1 plus R to the power T.
Good. So our 1 plus R is what? 15% to the power time. So 1.15 to the power 5. So you're going to get the same answer there. Okay, familiarize yourself with both ways of navigating. Then the other part is 15% under 5 years. You're going to the what? Annuity table. You should also ensure that you have the right tables. The interest factors, they start with 0 point something. And the formula will tell you. Then the annuity, present value annuity, it even show you the formula that is there. But 15% under what? Under 5. So 15% is here. Then check under 5 there. So 3.352. So you go here, 3.352, which is this. You get it? Then you compute that. So this is how we calculate the value of the bond. All right. Are we together, Grace? Are you there? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So we go to our current yield. The current yield will simply be 100 over 832. So this is what you calculate. So there's also what we call the zero coupon bond. It's simply given by the face value over the discount factor, or face value times the discount factor, because the coupon value and coupon rate will give you zero. So we're just looking at the other part there. So it's simply consider, you can use the same formula, but you consider the other part only, because this part, value of the bond is what, present value, I times present value, new it, PVA, plus M times PVF. Now here, since our coupon value, our coupon rate is zero, so to make everything zero on the other side, so we're just going to remain with this remaining part here. So our face value, our maturity value is 1,000, 30 years. So just put 1,000 times 1.10 to the power 30. So this is what we call a zero coupon bond. And now we also have what we call a semi-annual coupon bond. So whenever we're doing semi, all interest rates are divided by 2. So the market rate, ARA, as long as an interest rate divided by 2, then the time you multiply by 2. All right? So semi-annual bond, you can simply divide your coupon payment divided by 2, the interest rate divided by 2, the time multiplied by 2, or solve it the normal way we've been doing, that you apply the time value principles. So how do we answer this question? We have a coupon bond with a face value of 1,000 and time is 15 years and it's a semi-annual. So what are we given here? This is our IM. This is our what? Time, and we have two interest rates. This is our 8%. Okay, this is our small I. And what? This is our R or KD. So what will happen to our M? It remain the same. We don't do anything to the M, 1,000. What will happen to our small I? Divided by 2 because it's semi-annual. So 8%, we're going to use 4%. 8% over 2 times 1,000. What do we get? So 4% of 1,000 is 40. So now to go to our interest factors, we use the R. So R is 10%, but we divide by 2, we're going to be using 5%. And our time is 15 years, we're going to multiply by 2, so we're going to use what? 15 times 2, which is 30 periods. So that is 5% on 30. So now you do it the normal way. The interest factor, you take under 5% on 30. Okay, and then you factor 5% on 30. So let's go to our tables back. Start with our interest factor, 5% on 30. Now, sometimes the challenge that you may have is that maybe the table may not have the figure that you have. No wonder I may encourage you to know the manual formula in that circumstance. So 5% is here under 30. There's no 30 there, you see? Turning up to 15, for instance, this table. So you just manually have to calculate it. All right, although may not be the table that will be given, yours may end up to 30. But the concept is that you need to understand how to read the table, right? So when you calculate the interest factor, present value is equal to 1 over 1 plus r to the power 30. So our r is 5% now, 1.05 to the power 30. The answer we're going to get is 0.231. So you put it here. And the annuity factor, you subtract 1 minus present value factor over r. So 1 minus 0.231 divided by r. What is our r this time? Not 10%, it's 5. So 0.05. So when you calculate this, you're going to get your annuity factor as 15.373. So when you compute this, you're going to on overall get 845.92. 845.92. So this is what we call the value of the bond. Now do you find the current yield? The capital I over the value of the bond. Are we together? Are we following? Okay. So we can ask again, how do you use the table? So the table after getting the interest rates. So for instance, if our time here was 7 years, just for the sake of Lamech, who wants to see how to use the table here to 7 years. So how do we use the table? First of all, this is a semi-annual. So the time will be multiplied by 2. So instead of checking on 7, you will check on what? On 14. Then the interest, we don't use the coupon interest, we use the discount rate, 10%. So we divide by 2. Instead of 10%, we check on 5%. So we check 5% under 14. 5% under 14. So when you go to the table, you need to understand which one is the annuity table and which one is the interest factor. The interest factor, we know it goes with the what? Face value, maturity value. So the one who starts with 0 point some, these are interest factors, present value interest factors. So you go under 5% on 14. So this will give you 505. And when you go to the annuity factor, the same annuity, go to 5% under 14. This is 9.899. I just gave it a hypothetical figure because we don't have 30 here. So this is how we use the tables. All right. This is how we use the tables. So this was what? A semi-annual bond. Then lastly, but not the least, we now want to understand if you're not given the market rate, what do we do? We call that the year to maturity. The year to maturity is actually a rate of return earned on a bond which is held to maturity. So this is important to investors who want to buy bonds in the market. You want to know how much you will earn from the bond when it's held to maturity. So It is actually your rate of return or a discount rate compared to other bonds on the market. So people or investors are interested in the capital gains. So the yield to maturity has interest in capital gains. And capital gains is simply the difference between the current price and the par value. So the calculation of yield to maturity is given by the coupon payment plus the face value minus the value of the bond over N divided by 2VB plus MB over 3. 3 is part of the formula. All right. So using this formula, we are told that a bond was issued at par. It's a 10-year bond and it's issued 2 years after it's being issued. And it is being sold for 1,200. The coupon interest is 10%, and this bond has 10 years, calculate the yield to maturity. So using this formula, the coupon payment, the capital I, is calculated as 10% of what? Of 1,000, which is the 100. Then the maturity value minus the selling price of the bond. So 1,000 minus 1,200 over N. Our N is 8 because it's a 10-year bond, which is sold after 2 years. So 10 minus 2 is 8. Everything divided by 2VB. VB is 1,200. Our MV is 1,000 over 3. So when you calculate that, it is giving you 6.6%. So this is how we calculate the yield to maturity. Yield to maturity. Are we together? Are we together? Okay. So how do we relate this? I sent you the CF test, which I want you to attempt. So let's look at questions that we're doing with bonds from the test we had. Yesterday we looked at stock valuation and we also looked at capital budgeting the other day. So I need you to pick on selected questions on what we have looked at. Okay. All right, so we are going to end here. Unless there are any questions.